All right, Hilary, can you tell me whether you think that because of some of the large prosecutions and fines coming out of the fire safety order, whether there's a risk that the legislation will fall into some sort of disrepute?
I think there's always a danger when you get really high fines like that you get a risk analysis of, is it better to spend a lot of money complying and if anything goes wrong you then face a huge fine, or is it actually better you don't spend anything on compliance and just pay the high fine? So I think there's a balance to be got, and we don't have that at the moment.
The fire services would argue that the high levels of fines are a good lesson to others and publicise their responsibilities under the fire safety order. Would you agree?
I think that's absolutely correct. I think there is a duty to consider the public interest in bringing a prosecution. However, they must be proportionate, and I don't think that we're always getting that kind of proportionality in the prosecutions that we're seeing.
Do you think a lot of this is down to the newness that fire services are having to get to grips with being enforcement authorities, and the lack of experience of prosecution, and these are just teething problems that will sooner or later go away?
Yes. I think a lot of this, the problems that we're seeing, comes down to the fact that this legislation was really foisted upon the fire authorities. They've been given no funding, there's no consistency in training, and they haven't been given any help to try and get things right. So they've suddenly swapped their fire safety hats for that of a prosecutor. So I think there's certainly teething problems, and those aren't going to go away unless there is some funding and some investment put into our fire authorities.
And in terms of the responsible person, do you think there should be an explicit definition in the order about that a responsible person can be a company, it can be a body corporate, because there seems to be a lot of confusion even amongst prosecutors about the definition of responsible person?
I think probably the way the law is worded is appropriate. It's flexible enough to cover numerous situations. However, what we do need is written guidance or training for our prosecutors to understand how body corporates work, how it can be a corporation or it could be an individual.
So you don't see a wholesale repeal of the order being necessary, just perhaps some amendments here and there?
I think there's a definite need for some amendments, but I don't think it's necessary for a wholesale repeal.